Let me get my camera set up. Today, I'm going to be sharing 10 leash tricks and hacks that have literally changed the way that I've been able to walk my dogs, Bentley, and you can see Finnegan back there, and my mom's dog, Wally, on leash, even though they are incredible pullers. They love to bark on leash. And these 10 leash secrets and hacks are easy things you can do on every single walk with any dog, whether they're 8 weeks old or 8 years old, to make leash walking so easy. And these are things that I barely hear anybody talk about. So that's why I'm really excited to get on here with you today. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to be answering your questions live on anything and everything you have questions on. So stay tuned for that. But first off, thank you so much for being here. Whether you're here on live or on replay, definitely let's get those likes up as much as we can if you're enjoying the content. The other thing I'm going to talk about after I share these first 10 leash hacks is I'm going to share, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I think every dog parent needs gear wise or product wise when walking their dog. And these things are highly helpful and impactful. So real quick, for those on the live chat, can you hear me okay? Alyssa, Ariana, can you guys hear me okay? Is the volume loud enough? Before I jump into it, I don't want to be talking to no one. But yeah, it looks like, thank you, Alyssa. Awesome. So Jacqueline, Ariana, Dee Dee, I can hear you. Awesome. Okay, so let's just jump into it. If you guys watched my latest leash training video, you might have heard, thank you, Giovanna, you might have heard some of these leash hacks, but I'm going to kind of rapid fire through them because these are things like if you did these 10 things during every walk, your dog could be leash trained so stinking fast. I mean, every dog is different, but some dogs I've seen respond to this and go from extreme pulling and reactivity to a pretty solid loose leash within the first few days, and then really maintain that within the first week or two. Complete transformations doing these. Thanks, Elaine. Hi, Nathan, Danielle. Awesome. I appreciate you. And this will be on replay. So if you can't stay for the whole thing, you can absolutely watch this on replay. Ava, Doré, there's so many of you live with me. Sydney, I'm so grateful. Okay, so for the first leash hack, and then I'm going to jump into answering your questions and talking about my favorite leash walking gear that I highly recommend. Thank you, Carmen. That means so much. Yes, Nathan, this will be on replay. Caroline, Delina, hello, Hannah. Hi, I see all of you guys here. And I'm just, my gratitude is just, whew, there's so many of you. So let's just jump into these leash hacks and then I'll get into your questions. So the first leash secret that was a complete game changer was avoiding straight lines when we are on walks. So what I mean by that is, here, let me turn airplane mode on. Okay. Can you guys still hear me okay? Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Lynette. Hi, Marie. Oh, Julie, thank you so much. Don't worry, it's okay that you're late. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I had to change it. Okay, Carmen, thanks. Thank you, Sydney. I'm glad you can hear me. Carlisle, thank you. Awesome, Giovanna. Okay, so for this first leash hack is avoid walking in straight lines. Even if your dog is pretty good on leash, avoid walking in straight lines. I always say that while your dog is learning to loose leash walk, if you're not dizzy throughout the walk a few times, you're probably doing it wrong. And what I mean by that is many times our dogs are pulling on leash because they are distracted by what's around them. They don't have enough focus on you. They're anxious or they're nervous about what's going on around them, or they are having some sort of fear response. If you can avoid just walking in a straight line, you're going to keep them almost having to pay attention to you, right? So if you're just walking in a straight line, your dog has the ability to just see what's in front of them, what's in the side of them. They're not having any reason to pay attention to you. But if you're walking in a zigzag, let's say you're on a sidewalk and you're going from corner to corner to corner to corner, your dog is going to have to physically pay attention to you because you're changing directions, and they have to look at you to see where you're going to go next. And if you start this right away, if you start this in the beginning where you're walking in zigzags, you're making left turns, you're doing 180s or even 360s or 90-degree turns, and you do this regularly throughout your walk, especially when you start walking your dog in the beginning, you are going to set the precedent that you're not just going to walk in a straight line. So your dog doesn't have to anticipate what's going to come up next. What we want them to think about and to focus on is you. And what we want them to anticipate is what you, as the dog mom or dog dad or guardian, is going to do next. And by moving in random directions all throughout the walk, whether it's in your yard, you're practicing in your house, in your neighborhood, at a park, it doesn't matter where, when you're changing directions, let's say you're in a home hardware store like Home Depot or Lowe's, and you're going up one aisle, you go halfway up and then you come back down and then you go back up into another aisle, you're forcing your dog to learn that, okay, the only constant in our walk is that mom or dad is going to be moving a random direction. Maybe I should pay attention to them. What you're also doing by not walking in a straight line the entire walk is you're giving your dog something exciting to pay attention to and a way to engage with you, so they're less likely to be distracted by what's around them. Kind of like me trying not to be distracted by all the awesome comments you're leaving me right now, because for those of you watching to really get these leash tips or watching on replay, I know it gets annoying if I have a bunch of breaks between each hack, but I promise after I go through these 10 leash hacks, I'll answer your guys' questions live. So that's the first tip. Do this safely, right? I've been in a situation where I'm like walking in zigzags and then I kind of stop paying attention to where I'm going and I get kind of dizzy, and you don't want to fall. So be careful, but this is what I do. Well, it works really well for me. On that similar note is when you're walking your dog or puppy, everything I talk about is relevant to and applicable to 8-week-old puppy that you're practicing walks in the front yard or backyard, all the way up to a 10-year-old dog. I like to layer in mental stimulation or some type of brain engagement activity during the walk. So a lot of times we think about a successful walk with our dog is going a really long distance and taking a lot of steps, which eventually that very well could be the case. But to me, a successful walk is being able to take your dog outside on a loose leash where neither of you are stressed, anxious, or nervous, and both of you are having fun, new, and different experiences together, where you are leading your dog. And I don't mean being alpha or dominant, but you are leading your dog, and your dog is trusting to follow you and your guidance based on whatever they may or may not be fearful or nervous of in the environment. And also where your dog is, okay, awesome, Alyssa, I know you have to go, but I do see you here supporting a lot, and it does mean a lot. Thank you. But it also, when we're thinking about our dog, I just lost my train of thought. See, I'm like a dog. I see your comments and I get distracted. Oh, mental stimulation. So many times if we are, this is the hard part about live is I can't edit this and I forgot my train of thought. Mental stimulation. Okay, layering mental stimulation in during a walk. We were talking about successful walks. So many times, like I said before, people think that just going a long distance is the most important part about a walk. But for me, it's about what did my dog learn in that time? What kind of relationship and communication did my dog and I have during that time? And I've had really successful walks where we only walked a half mile, because in that half mile, we went to a new territory, a new neighborhood, a new area of town as an example. And they were able to stay focused on me and practice focusing and staying and having attention on me versus being distracted by everything else around them. And so what I want you to consider is when you're walking your dog, I want you to think less about the distance and more about the quality and more about how are you engaging with your dog. And I'll talk a little bit later about how I engage with my dogs and keep them really excited in me. But one way is I ask them for basic cues and commands, sits, downs, a touch cue, doing a place cue. If they do any fun tricks, I like to do that. And all that looks like is as we're walking, sometimes in a straight line, sometimes in a zigzag, sometimes with a 90-degree angle, we'll be walking and all of a sudden I'll stop and ask for 3 SITs, 3 sits. Or maybe I'll ask them to do a sit, a down, a sit, down, sit, to do puppy push-ups during the walk. Then we continue on the walk. I ask them for a heel and we'll keep walking. And what this does is it forces them to stay focused on you and engaged with you, because they never know, your dog never knows when you're going to be asking them for something. And 99.99.99% of all dogs out there just want to please us and be loyal to us and work for us. And it's really 100% of dogs, if I'm being honest. And so if you give them a job, even if you think your dog doesn't like to work, there's some part of them that loves to do something productive and to stimulate their mind and to have a challenge, because it enriches their entire life. So layer this in the walk. This is also going to mentally tire them. So if you have a dog that is super distracted, pulling a lot on the leash, barking a lot, if you start setting the precedent that during walks, you're going to be working on basic sits or downs or spins and twirls or whatever it might be throughout the walk every 5 to 10 minutes or so, you're going to start teaching your dog that, okay, going out on a walk doesn't mean that I'm just pulling forward and experiencing all of the world in front of me in a really scary, intimidating way. Instead, going for a walk means I get to focus on mom or dad. I'm rewarded for focusing on mom or dad, and I get to solve problems and overcome challenges and obstacles and doing a sit in a different place than I normally do. Dogs thrive on this, y'all. So definitely, I highly recommend to layer in mental stimulation. Another way you can do this, for tip number 3 or secret number 3, are sniff breaks. Remember, your dog's nose is one of their most powerful organs that are going to tirelessly tire them out mentally and even physically. And remember, mental stimulation is far more tiring than physical stimulation alone any time of the day. And when you can mix the two, like doing brain games with a physical walk, you're just setting your dog up for ultimate success. Sniff breaks gives your dog a few opportunities to do a few things. One being exploring their environment, which most dogs love to do. They love to smell the other dogs and critters and animals and things that have been in that area or by that bush or by that patch of grass. Finnegan, he loves his sniffing. It also helps them communicate with the world around them, which is a very natural thing for a dog to do. It mentally tires them, which reduces stress, reduces anxiety, reduces boredom, all naturally. And it's a fun activity for dogs. And if you do this and you set up specific sniff breaks during your walk, then you're allowing your dog to be a dog. And the more that we can allow our dogs to be dogs in a safe way, of course, the more likely that they're going to be motivated to pay attention to us, because we are speaking their love language. We're relating to them. How I do sniff breaks is I've taught my dogs that I just say, go sniff. And when I say go sniff, the only rules are that they get to lead the way. They can lead the way and go to the end of the leash. I don't want them pulling me over, but they can absolutely guide where we go, and they get to sniff freely until I ask them for a heel again. Sometimes a sniff break might be 30 seconds. Sometimes I'll give them like 2, 3, 5 minutes. It just depends. And I love giving sniff breaks. Here's a pro tip, especially around my house and neighborhood, because knock on wood, if something were to happen and my dogs were to get out of off leash or out of my hands and got away from me, if they've had experience sniffing all of the bushes and trees and things around our house, they're much more likely to be able to find their way back home because they are familiar with the area. The next thing you can do is, I hope you're practicing, if you can safely, the chase game. You guys, some of you have heard me talk about this, but if you haven't tried the chase game, it's one of my favorites, especially with puppies. For larger, fast dogs, it's a little difficult, but what you can do is you can do this in your backyard with their leash on, or inside your house if they're a little puppy, or on a long lead, like a 33-foot biothane leash. All my favorite products are linked in the description down below on my shop page. It's just RachelFusaro.com/shop. And what you can do is I drop the leash. Now, I do this in places that I know I can contain my dog safely. And I literally run away from my dog. If you don't have like a large fenced in area, you could just kind of gently hold the end of the leash and just like run backwards as an example. And what you're doing is you're getting your dog excited to run towards you while they're on their leash. So what I do is when they do get to me is I give them treats, play, praise, or some kind of reward that motivates them, maybe even a toy. You know, a lot of you guys ask like, what if my dog isn't treat motivated? And I'll talk about my favorite treats in a moment, or one of them at least. Then either I tell them, try a different treat, try a different food, or try a toy. And some dogs just love praise, or some dogs just love your physical attention, like petting them on their chest. That could be the reward. But I love to just run away. Okay, thank you, Julie. I'm so excited. Thank you, or I'm so grateful that you're always showing up and supporting me. Thank you very much. I do see you and I appreciate you. But what I love to do is just kind of run away from the dog and then reward them when they catch up to me. This again starts setting the precedent that it's a fun and exciting and engaging thing to come towards you, not pull away from you. I would practice this every day, once a day. If it was me and I had a puppy or a 10-year-old dog, I would practice this. This also helps with recall, which I do have a recall and come when called video coming out very soon. It'll be linked in the description below. Thank you for coming, Rebecca. I appreciate you. This will be on replay, so you guys can check it out later, the full video. Also, the other thing you can do, I have some notes here because I don't want to forget, is especially in the beginning, and you can phase this out over time, but when you're first working with your dog on leash, you better, with all of your might, try to always reward your dog's focus on you. So anytime they kind of just glance up at you while they're on leash, I mark that with a YES, yes, which is my marker cue. Some people use a clicker. I'm too clumsy to use a clicker. Not against them, I'm just not very good at them. And as soon as they look up at me, not a second after, not a minute later, not while they're staring off at a bush, but as soon as they kind of glance up at me, it's like, yes. And I reward with treats or a toy or food. In the beginning, I reward every single one with something of high value. Like I said, a toy that they really love, a high value treat, or some food that they really, really enjoy that's healthy. And in the beginning, I do this every single time they look up at me. And then let's say they look up at you and they're continuing to look at you for more than 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, I continue to reward. That's a step that so many people miss. I've been guilty of it too, so no judgment. But if they're looking at you as you're walking, you be a Pez machine. That's fine. You keep going, right? Because the way that dogs learn, and I'm sure you've heard me say this before, but hear me again. The way that most dogs learn is by doing a behavior and then getting some kind of reinforcement for that behavior. And so if they're offering a look at you or a focus at you or eyes just kind of looking up at you, reward that puppy with food or treats or a toy. You can just do verbal praise. Some dogs, that's enough. In the beginning though, I love to really load up that marker cue and that action, that behavior is what I'm trying to say. I like to load up that behavior with something of extreme value just to really set the tone. And then later over time, what you can do, if you eventually want to phase out treats and you only want to use words, then after like probably months of practicing this, then I'll start randomly. Sometimes they'll get 1 treat, sometimes they'll get 3 treats, sometimes they won't get a treat, and I just randomly phase out the delivering of the treats. That way they're always anticipating something, but I don't have to rely on treats to get them to listen to me, because I never want to be in a position that my dog only listens to me if I have food or a toy on me. I want them to listen to no matter what. And one of the ways to do that though is to start with rewarding them with treats or food or toys, and then randomly and slowly over time phasing that out. And I can do more videos on that in the future, because there are a couple things to look out for that. So comment, in the comment section if that's something you'd be interested in. And then the next thing about leash secrets, and then I'm going to talk about I'm gonna do some live Q&A with you. I'll talk about some of my favorite leash gear, some of my favorite treats. But the next one is, jackpots. So in the beginning, you're rewarding your dog anytime they look up at you. And you better believe if they kind of look at a car driving by, or maybe there's a dog down the way and they kind of glance at the dog and look up at you, oh my gosh, please do not miss that opportunity to reward your dog, because that is a huge thing that they've done, looking at something they could kind of react to or lunge at or bark at, and then choose to instead focus on you. What I like to do is, especially in the beginning, I love to randomly give jackpots. A jackpot is a lot of something that they love. So let's say I'm using treats. I'll just show you right now. Some of my favorite treats I'm using right now are by Icelandic. They're combo bites. They have a few different flavors. Look at Finn. He loves it. Yeah, that's what I get to get your attention. They are linked to my shop page in my description below, which is just RachelFusaro.com/shop. Incredible. They're a small company. They're sustainably sourced. They're amazing and super tasty, obviously. But what I'll do, instead of just giving one, I will randomly give them like a handful of treats, like maybe like 10 bits, because they're like maybe that big. I'll give them like 10 little pieces of the treat all at the same time, but consecutively. So this is the key. A lot of times when we give our dog a jackpot, we'll just take a handful of something, like a big mound of treats, or maybe their dry food if you're feeding them dry food, and then give them that whole handful and they eat it in 1 or 2 bites. That's not as effective, because dogs think in terms of currency. So right then they thought of that as like 1, maybe 2 bites. But let's say you have a handful of treats and you want to jackpot them, then I reward those. Let's say it's 10 treats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That quickly, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The dog's gonna look at you and be like, oh my gosh, like, are you a genie? My wish came true. So what that will do is, as they're walking by your side, you're gonna start seeing them looking back up at you again, looking back up at you again, looking back up at you again, because they're anticipating that next jackpot. And maybe that jackpot won't come for another 10 minutes. Maybe it'll come 2 minutes later. Keep it random. And don't overdo it, don't underdo it. I would say, like, if you're doing a 30-minute walk, I'd probably give 2 or 3 jackpots in the beginning, and slowly over time you can phase it out. But this is a really fun way to keep your dog focused on you, because at the end of the day, that's all we really want, right? We want our dogs to be excited about paying attention to us and listening to us and learning from us, and to feel trust in us and have faith in us that we're going to make good decisions for them and help them make good decisions. And the way that you do that is by working with them, which is what this whole leash thing is about. Now, the next secret are left turns. And what that means is, I want you to make, during your walk session, at least every 10 minutes at minimum, I want you to be taking a left turn. But be careful, because making a left turn, if you're walking and you're making a left turn in front of your dog, you're making a left turn with your dog, it means that you have to kind of step out forward and then cross in front of them, which can be a tripping hazard. This is just what I do. Be careful. Nobody get hurt on my account. I am not a professionally trained dog trainer, for the record. I say this all the time, but everything I share with you is just what I have learned over the years of fostering dozens and dozens and dozens of rescue dogs that have come into my care. And I had one goal and one goal only, which was to train them as quickly as I could, so that I could help them get adopted. And then they're going to be much more likely to stay in their forever home and not be surrendered back to the rescue or the shelter if they were well behaved. So for me, I spent years learning and trial and erroring what are really easy ways to train dogs, and really easy hacks and tricks to help dogs with major behavior issues in really fast and effective ways. And that's what I'm sharing here. And of course, I've raised my own dogs. And so anyways, do everything at your own discretion. But these L turns are incredible. First and foremost, they're kind of hard, so you need to practice them, right? Like, let's not avoid them. Secondly, it forces your dog to pay attention to you, right? Because when you're doing a left turn, you have to cross in front of them. And what I like to do is kind of hold the leash a little bit out with my hand, so that as I'm turning, I can help guide my dog. Because if you have a dog like my dude that just video bombed when I pulled the treats out, he likes to lead when we're walking on leash. And so I have to be careful, because I could like trip. But again, I like left turns because it forces them to physically change their perspective and have to follow you and turn to follow you. Here's another thing that I actually wasn't even planning on talking about, but it's something I learned. I heard a dog trainer say this years and years ago, and it really stuck with me. And this person said, this is just one perspective with leash walking, and really anything to do with training your dog. But when you're figuring out how you want to train your dog in general, not just leash walking, really consider what you want out of your dog and what you don't really care about. And what I mean by that is when I was first leash training my Labrador Bentley here, the trainer that I worked with in his puppy class, which was like 11 and a half years ago, I remember her saying that like the leash always had to be a J, had to always be loose. The dog always had to be an inch behind my left leg, and if they ever went ahead of it, then you're supposed to yank them back, which I don't agree with. That's why I didn't finish the class, but you're supposed to yank them back and force them behind you. But then if they lag too far behind you, then they're being lazy, so you need to pull them forward. And that never resonated with me, so again, I didn't stick with that class. But then a few years after that, I heard another trainer mention that at the end of the day, you just need to figure out what you're okay with when it comes to your dog and their behavior and what you're not okay with, and then just do you. And what I mean by that is with Bentley, he's perfect on leash. The only time he might really, really pull hard at 12 years old is if we're walking and there's like a squirrel that comes running in front of us. He's probably gonna pull. If I don't catch it ahead of time and get his attention, he'll probably pull, but you know, it is what it is. Otherwise, he's perfect. Finnegan, on the other hand, if this is my left leg, he always wants to be like a centimeter ahead of me. And for the longest time, he's almost 4, for the longest time in the beginning, I just felt so frustrated. I was like, why won't he just stand a little behind me? And then I remembered what this dog trainer said, that they were talking with their dog that always was like a few inches ahead of them, but the dog would always listen to them as the pet guardian, would always turn when they turned, wouldn't pull hard on the leash, but always wanted to be an inch ahead. And this dog trainer was explaining that like they were okay with that dogs are like humans, or maybe like a children. I don't have kids, but they said they're kind of like children or toddlers, that we have this idealistic vision of what we think our dog should be to be perfect. But this dog trainer was like, you know what? I'm okay if my dog is just a little bit more the intense type that kind of wants to be like a half an inch ahead of me, but they're not pulling, they're not barking, they're not yanking me over or anything, then I'm okay with that. And that's something I'm going to allow. And when I heard that, or what I remembered that with Finn, who likes to be like just like right ahead of my left leg, I was like, well, I guess I don't really care as long as he's not pulling me over, as long as he's listening to me and watching and paying attention to me out of his peripheral. And if I'm turning, he's going to turn. If I'm stopping, he's going to stop without me having to say anything. And there's no behavior issues. Then why do I really care? Like, why do I need to control him and put him in a box? In his mind, he's kind of looking out for what's ahead. So I digress. Really, what I'm trying to say is just be easy on yourself and your dog. Like, it's expecting all of our dogs to act the exact same is not realistic for most of us. And to me, sometimes it's okay. Like, some people don't want their dogs to get on the couch. Some people literally think it's like a sin. And for me, I'm like, all right, get on the couch, like whatever. Anyways, so that's something just to think about. Be easy on yourself, right? Like, they're uniquely them. They're living, beautiful creatures, and they're all different. Okay, the next leash tip is things to climb on. Oh my gosh. So especially where I'm at right now, I'm in California, and I love finding things for my dogs to safely climb on and or walk through that's a unique terrain. Examples: if I'm out on a walk and I see some large rocks or stones, maybe they're like 10 inches off the ground and they seem safe and stable, I like to have my dogs kind of walk up to it and then walk over it and down it. Let's say I'm walking on a sidewalk and then there's a little like grass hill right here. I like to walk down the sidewalk, then up the hill, down the hill, up the hill, down the hill. And what that does is, one, it activates new muscles, because dogs oftentimes are used to just walking on cement, and that can actually be really hard on their paws. And of course, in the high heat, be careful. But if I give them different terrain, different levels, different gradients to walk on, different things to walk on, maybe you're hiking and they walk up and down a log safely, of course, always be safe, safety first. It gives them different ways to use their body in a more natural way. It activates different muscles, so it helps them in terms of exercise and strength. And it helps with enrichment and mental stimulation because they're exploring different things. It sounds so basic, but when you're walking, try to avoid, and this is another tip, just going the same route every single time. Try going a different direction. Try going halfway around the route and then back around, and then halfway another direction on the route and then back around. And while you're going on your walking route in your neighborhood or a park or on a hike, look for different things that your dog can walk through safely. I remember at my last apartment, there were some tall grasses that I could still see through, so I didn't worry about snakes and stuff. This is just what I did. And Finn loved walking through it, and I loved it because the tall grass kind of pushed against his legs a little bit, creating resistance, and so it worked his front and back leg muscles differently. And that's really important because what muscles aren't used die, right? Like the same with humans. If they don't use certain muscles, then they're not as effective. And dogs love to climb and explore. Another thing is when you're walking a dog, and this kind of goes full circle back to what I was talking about at the beginning, is end before. Oh my gosh, I think I have powder on my face. I had coffee right before this, and I put my collagen powder in it, and I spilled it. Oh, I think I still feel it here. But when you're walking with your dog, or even if you're working with your dog on, training, whatever, what I like to do is end before they're ready to be done with the activity. So let's say you're going on a walk and you know that they could go for a solid 2 miles and have a great time. I'd end at like 1.5 miles. The reason is if we put in the beginning while they're learning, later on that's fine, but in the beginning while they're learning, what I found to work the best is ending before they're ready to end, so that they're always looking forward to the next session. And then when they're ready to start, they're really engaged with you and excited to be there and to work with you and to listen to you. And I also always end on a good note. So let's say you're towards the end of the walk and your dog is really struggling. They're making a lot of, they're having a lot of challenges, we'll say, and they're just really not with it. I like to kind of recenter myself, ask them for some basic cues that I know that they're going to be able to do to get some wins under their belt, and then I stop. If you end a working session or a leash session on a negative note where your dog has made some errors or had challenges, then that's what they are more likely to remember next time you start that up. So I definitely want to make sure that I end sessions a little bit before they're ready and on a positive note. Now, I'm going to answer your Q&A questions here for just a little bit, but I do want to show some of my favorite leash walking gear that I just happen to have with me right now. These are all on my shop page, linked in the description below. And this video is not sponsored. These are literally this brand here. So this leash is a Dog Plus Bone leash. I have purchased their products with my own money for the past, 5-7 years. What I love about this leash is it's an adjustable hands-free leash. Use with your own discretion, your own safety, but what I love about it is I can strap it, here we go, it's kind of an awkward position here, strap it around my waist. There we go. I know Finn's like, why is it open? And now, and they come with extra straps as well, so if you need a longer one or you want more length or wider, you can. But now I have a hands-free way to work with my dog with 2 hands. Now, of course, when I say use at your own discretion is because if you have a 150-pound Great Dane that is not leash trained at all and they're attached to you, there is a risk of them pulling you over. For me, I use this attachment hands-free option with my dogs because when I'm working with them on leash, I'm fully engaged. I'm not on my phone, and I'm just not worried about being pulled over. And for me personally, I would rather be pulled over and maybe hurt myself a little bit versus them get off leash. But again, this has been a game changer for me because being able to have 2 hands allows me to make so much more progress during the walk. This is also great when we used to go out a lot more to restaurants. to dog-friendly places for outdoor seating. You can tether them, right? Because you can shorten the strap here, so you could tether it to the table. So when I was eating the food, I didn't worry about them getting away. So you can use this like a regular leash and have the little loop here like you would normally. But you can also shorten it and lengthen it, because another thing is I love to keep my leash in the beginning when they're learning closer to me, because if you let the leash be super long, they're more likely to pull away. If I keep the leash short enough to where I can still have a short leash, but they're not going to be able to get 6 feet away from me, I find that dogs learn much faster. This leash comes in multiple colors. The other reason I love it is it's woman owned, completely small business out of Colorado, made in the US, has this awesome brass hardware. So it's just stunning. And they have the matching collars. Look at Bentley's collar. Here we go. I just got to show you. It's the same brand. And I got him the gold collar. Look at it. I think it's just so sophisticated. Like, I just love it so much. And it just goes great with his chocolate coat. This is not a shock bark collar, by the way. You guys always ask me. No, I do not believe in shock collars or bark collars. This is his activity tracker whistle GPS. So no matter where they are, I know where they are. And it also tracks his movement. So I know that he's getting enough steps. It'll track if he's drinking enough water. It tracks if he's licking too much or scratching too much. This will track it and alert me on an app. This is in my shop link down below. That's the whistle GPS. And then, so anyways, one of the best leashes of all time, period. And then you guys know that I'm obsessed with the Wildebeest treat pouch. First and foremost, because first off, it's a small woman-owned company, very small business, made right here in the US, and I love that you can strap it onto your waist. You can also get a belt. It comes with a strap to go around your waist. You can see here, made in California, and it has a little hook here. You can put poop bags on. The same brand makes my favorite dog poop brands. It sounds so weird to say poop. I can fit my phone in here. You can see, oh, I'm on my phone. I was going to show you size reference, but you can see, I don't know, my hand, I guess. And then what I love, though, is that it's a magnetic closure. You guys can see that? So Finn just looked at me, and look at Ben. He's like, oh, treats. But if I can easily slide my hand in here while I'm working with him, grab the treats I need, and then if I were to bend over, it magnetically closes, so I don't have to worry about losing all the treats. Then I love the fact that the colors will match the leashes that I can get from Dog Plus Bone. These guys also have the harnesses that I use for the dogs for walking. I've never found a treat pouch to be as aesthetic, durable, long-lasting as this one, and I have spent more money than I'm proud to admit looking for a good treat pouch. I've, to this date, hundreds and hundreds, probably $1,000, like over the past decade on treat pouches, like legit. Could never find one that would last. So anyways, Amy, I bought it and I love it. Also got the harness. Yeah, see, you guys love it. Then for the treats, I showed this earlier. These are some of my favorite treats of all time. I do have videos linked below on what I look for in dog treats. The reason I love these, here I'll show you what they look like. This one I just got this in bag, but I'll open it for you. I know you can see Bentley. So you can see when you open it up, this is what they look like on the inside. Yes, these are linked to my shop page. And yes, the company, while this video is not sponsored, they do give you guys codes. There we go. Waiting for mine. Awesome, Hilda. You can see how small they are. Why I love these. They're sustainably caught and they're air dried. So that means that the nutrients are more bioavailable. A lot of other treats that you get are going to be full of fillers, sweeteners, ingredients that your dogs don't need, sugars, and they're going to be highly, highly processed and cooked at high temperatures, because that does make them more shelf stable for longer, but they're not as fresh. These, very potent. Finn literally just drooled on me. Thank you for that. Very potent, kind of stinky, and they're packed with omega-3s, which most dogs, and honestly humans for that matter, are chronically deficient in. And so these ones, there are only 2 ingredients in it. 100% Icelandic cod and lobster is this flavor, and then they have a ton of flavors, dog chews. I'm highly, highly obsessed with this brand. Definitely check it out in my shop page. And the dog poop bags, when you go to this website, They are amazing because they're 100% biodegradable. They're thick, so when I pick up loose stool, I don't have to worry about it getting through the bag. And I don't have any issues opening them with one hand, even if it's very cold out. If you are like me and you use those dog waste bags frequently, you know that the really cheap ones are hard to open. They're very thin, they don't work, and they just fall apart. These ones are quite the opposite. So now let's answer some of your questions. And just to reiterate, let me go to the live chat here. To reiterate, not all, but many of my favorite pet products, and I go through so much research when it comes to them, are linked on my website, which is just rachelfusaro.com/shop. And I'm going to be launching, should I tell you? I don't know, should I? Let's just say, yeah, why not? It's not a big deal. But I am going to be launching a gift guide. Oh my gosh, I just said it. I wasn't really supposed to announce it yet. Okay, don't tell my business manager. I just had my, oh my God, there's so many changes. You guys are getting a sneak peek. One of my best friends has started helping me out just a couple hours a week, managing kind of all of this content that I'm putting out, and managing my schedule and my calendar so that I make sure I'm continuing to stay on track with getting videos out to you. And we agreed not to talk about this until later, but you guys are here live with me. So anyways, I do have something coming out that's going to be showcasing some new products you've never heard of, and some really special pricing and discounts for you guys that aren't like sponsored by me or anything. It's just the brands. Hi, buddy. It's just brands are just so excited about the response from you guys. So let's go through some of your questions. Okay, Finnegan, you're right in the way there. Awesome. We're already at 81 likes, guys. If you're enjoying this, please give this video a like. It really means a lot and helps, honestly, the algorithm. Okay. Gabriella, what shampoo do you use? Oh man, do I have one next to me? I don't. Okay, there's only 2 brands of dog shampoos, 3 actually, that I would ever put on my dogs so far. This could change if I learn of a different one, but for right now, after years of research, first and foremost, what I'm using today right now is Kin and Kind. Yes, it's on my shop page, linked in my description, with coupon codes, which is pretty cool. And I love them because they're organic. The ingredients are only natural. There's no stabilizers in there that are known to be toxic ingredients to dogs, which, believe it or not, is common in these widely available, commercially sold pet shampoos that I'm just trying to be careful with my words so I don't brand bash, but that you see everywhere. So I really struggled for years finding a dog shampoo and flea and tick product and lawn care that I was comfortable enough to give to my dogs, because there have been numerous studies about common ingredients in pesticide use that we use for our lawn, in pet shampoos you see in all the major pet stores, candles, things like that. There have been numerous studies that common ingredients in those things, again, that you see in all the common pet stores, that are highly toxic and irritating to dogs, both immediately to their skin and for long-term health. And with cancer being one of the leading causes of death for dogs, which environment is a huge thing, like what you put on their body and near their body that can be impacting cancer. 6 million dogs a year are diagnosed with cancer. I became obsessed with finding the best of the best. So Kin and Kind, love them. They have awesome shampoos and flea and tick shampoo and spray as well that has worked wonders for my dogs. Again, linked below. I also love 4-leggers, and then there's some Scout Honor products that I like as well. Okay, so the next question is, I'm getting a beagle. What do you think? Beagles are fun. They can be loud, but they're fun. Okay, Tamala, I'm getting a rescue dog in October and want to know your opinion on crate training with 2 crates. One for nighttime in my room and one in my living room with a playpen for the daytime. Love it. Love, 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 love. So how I crate train is I'll just use 1 crate. You guys, you know my favorite crate is the Diggs crate. Hands down, to date, I've never found a crate be more effective for crate training, more aesthetic, more durable, and more functional than any other crate in the world. Yes, it's like the first link on my shop page, linked down below. But What I love to do with that crate is it has wheels. So I wheel it room to room. That way I don't have to have two. But absolutely, you can have two. And the reason I love that idea, either have one that you move to room or have multiple, is because then you can practice crate training throughout the day during normal activities. You're doing dishes, great. Let's use a stuffed topple, West Paw topple, with some of their food or treats frozen, put it in the crate, have them work at it while you're doing the dishes. Oh, you're going to be watching Netflix? Great. Let's do my video from like last year that did really well was called Netflix and Train, where I showed you easy brain games and ways to train your dog while you're watching TV or Netflix. So one example is have the crate in the living room, and anytime they go in and around that crate while you're watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever, uh, reward with treats, toy, play, or praise, or play brain games throughout the day in and around the crate. So I do love having multiple, but I do love having two crates or one crate that can go room to room. Okay, so let's see It's weird because the chats, like I see them and then they disappear. Okay, help. Angie asked, how do I keep my puppy out of the cat box? There's no place I can put it that she can't get to. Okay, this question I'm going to answer in a more generic way because I get this question a lot. How do I keep my dog off the counter? How do I keep my dog from barking out the window or puppy? How do I keep my dog from getting in the cat box? The reality is, the way to handle these type of situations is you're going to have to manage their environment. At the end of the day, think of a dog as an opportunist. They are going to seek things that give them pleasure and things that seem safe. That's how their world works. They don't work in a world like we do where it's yes and no. They work in a world where they are looking for opportunities to have joy and fun and tasty foods, and cat litter box is a tasty thing for them. So using playpens, baby gates, and or crates to keep your dog or puppy away from things you don't want them barking at, jumping up on, or getting into is going to be the best way to do that. Now, if your puppy's able to fit through the baby gate, you're going to have to find a way to maybe raise the litter box until your puppy gets bigger, or find a baby gate that has a slit just big enough that your cat can get through but your dog can't. And of course you can work on redirection so that your dog learns not to get in there, but honestly in the beginning the best and most effective way is to manage the environment and stop the behavior right away, because they're getting rewarded every time they get to it. So that's going to be really, really important. Another thing is when you're practicing keeping them away from it, and I love this for puppies or any dog, that you're having issues with them doing things you don't want them to do, get a leash like this, the Dog Plus Bone, and wrap it around yourself, which means that they're tethered to you, and then they have to follow you, and then they can't get to the cat box, and then they can't run to the front window and bark at the mailman. And then when you're not able to tether them to you, you can put them in the crate or the playpen. And sometimes doing this for a period of time where you're strictly managing their environment helps them forget about something they were really into. Okay, let's see. I'm getting a Maltipoo in the fall. Cannot wait. Awesome. That's so exciting, Lauren. What name do you have decided? What do you think of the Thunder shirt? I've never tried it. There's some science. I don't know if there's peer-reviewed science, but there's some findings that show it's effective. I don't know. What should I give my dog in between meals? I'm going down from 3 patties to 2 patties. So interestingly, I'll link it in the description below, but my dogs actually, on average, it varies, only eat 1 meal a day. And I don't always give treats and chews every single day. So some days, the only food that they consume will be their 1 bowl of dog food. And the reason is dogs, and this actually goes for humans as well. So as you know, or maybe you don't, my background is in nutrition. My bachelor's is in nutrition science, though it's human nutrition, not canine nutrition. I've just become wildly obsessed with canine nutrition, and the DNA between dogs and humans is very similar, so there's a lot of synergies there. But both humans and dogs, interestingly enough, were never meant to eat every 3, 4, 5 hours. uh, when you eat frequently, even if it's a healthy food or you give treats frequently, you're actually causing inflammation in the body by way of blood sugar spikes, insulin spikes, because your body has to respond to that food and digest it. So this is why you guys probably hear a lot of the benefits around fasting. And this video is not about fasting. If you want me to do a video on that, I will. But my dogs essentially intermittent fast every single day for the most part. Sometimes they'll get 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, because I love to keep things different. But generally speaking, my dogs eat one single meal a day. So they'll have like 23 hours between a meal, because this is most naturally representing the way they would eat on their own. I get it. I get they're not a wolf, but they are carnivores. They are animals. They are mammals, just like us as humans. We weren't meant to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then snacks in between. Our bodies, our digestive system, our metabolism needs to have a break and a detox from always processing food. And that's actually, I believe, contributing to the fact that almost 60% of dogs are overweight or obese today. Think about that. Well over half of dogs are obese or overweight, which is a disease state, which will reduce lifespan and will contribute to other major conditions in dogs: diabetes, seizure disorders, cancer, you name it. And honestly, the same goes for humans. So I can't remember the exact question, but it was, I get very passionate about food and nutrition. But when it comes to dogs and feeling the need to keep them hungry, to me, it's less about the quantity that you're feeding them, and in terms of how often. Sorry, it's less about the frequency that we're feeding them and more about the quality. If you want to know what I feed my dogs, tons of links down below. I'm a big fan of low carb, fresh food diets. Okay, so let's see a few more questions here. These are hard for me because it's just, there's so much I want to say, but I don't want to bore you. How is the transition from dry food to raw food look like? Are there any risks? My vet said it was risky with small breed dogs. So, oh man, this is tough because it's a whole video topic. But I feed my dogs a raw, fresh food diet. This means that the diet they eat is literally comprised of raw meat, raw organ, raw crushed bone, a little bit of low glycemic superfood, micronutrient dense super green foods, produce. I don't know why I can't say that easily. And I feed them this way because it's the most biologically and metabolically appropriate way for a dog to eat. Dogs were never meant to eat a diet that was 100% highly processed, shelf-stable foods, which is a dry kibble or dry food. I'm not a kibble shamer because Bentley here, my chocolate lab, turns 12 this year, and I fed him kibble for like the first half of his life before I learned better. But what I learned through years of research and through my nutrition studies is that kibble's only like 100 years old. Before that, we just fed them real food. That's how dogs thrived. And that's why dogs back in the 50s, 60s, 70s lived on average closer to 20 years old, whereas today the average lifespan is 8 to 10. Dogs are not supposed to be passing away 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. They should be living 15, 20, 22 years old, period. And they have that ability, but because of so much that's going on in the environment with toxins, and really majorly because of what we're feeding them, their lifespans are being cut and short. If you have not seen the movie on Netflix called Pet Fooled, you're missing out. Go watch that this weekend. Watch it with your family and friends, then share with everybody you know. I'm not affiliated with that video, but I'm close friends with the two creators, Rodney Abib and Dr. Karen Becker. They're incredible, inspirational human beings, and they really break it down more for you in how we are being brainwashed to believe that dry processed food is the only way to feed our dogs. What I will say is every dog is different. You do what's best for your dog, and whenever possible, please explore a second opinion if your vet is saying that your dog only needs to eat a dry processed food. I recommend to look for a holistic or integrative vet because they are going to be well versed and well trained, most of them, in canine nutrition. Most conventional vets, and I'm not vet bashing, but most conventional vets have maybe one class, like one actual class, and not even a full semester long of canine nutrition. Maybe it's only a few hours. Maybe it's one full class for a whole semester, but guess who funds most of those classes? Big Kibble, right? The Purinas, the Royal Canins, it's all funded by them. So it's really, that's a whole black hole conversation we can get into. So if you're having issues where your vet is telling you it's unsafe, I would I would find a second opinion personally. There's a lot of vets now that do video conferencing like this because of everything going on in the world. So they're now more accessible now more than ever. But think about it this way. Imagine if your human doctor told you, hi Laura, thank you for being here. Imagine if your human doctor told you that the way to be healthier was for you to go eat bags of shelf-stable, highly processed foods that have been fortified with synthetic vitamins, and that's all you need to eat. No fresh foods, no real foods, no raw vegetables, fruits, nothing. You would think that's blasphemy. It's the same as the pet food industry, which is pretty insane. So if you want more videos in live feeds on what I think about food, then comment that below, and I'll figure it. I'll maybe do that. Jade, high quality raw food, kibbles unsafe. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I do believe that there is a time and place for kibble. As you guys know, I'm highly involved with rescue work. I've fostered dozens and dozens and dozens of dogs, and in those situations, the rescue organizations, the shelters, the humane societies, the pounds, the foster volunteers can't afford to always feed a full, fresh food or raw food diet to these rescue dogs. And it's literally, we euthanize all these dogs or we bring them in and feed them a kibble that was donated. I'm like, heck yeah, let's feed them a kibble, right? There's some people who desperately just cannot afford a fully raw, fresh food diet, and I don't want them to feel bad about what they're feeding. So for me, it's all about meeting you as the pet guardian where you're at and then helping you make the bowl better. I will be doing more videos on things well, I don't know. Would you guys want to see videos on, comment below if you're watching on replay or put in the comment section here. Yes, Jade, I agree too. Or thank you for agreeing, I guess, or at least understanding. But comment below if you would love videos on kibble toppers to add some more fresh, healthy, nutrient-dense, affordable foods to the bowl that have been proven to have immense impact on our dog's health. Aiden, yes. Okay, great. So all I need is like 2-3 people to say that they want something, and I typically do it. That's why I have hundreds of videos. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Sydney, thank you so much for being here. Oh man, Stephanie, Tamala, Monica, Billie Eilish fan. How do I stop my puppy from biting things? Managing the environment and redirection. I have a video I posted 2 videos ago. It didn't go viral, but it got a ton of views and a ton of positive feedback for being really effective. So go check it out. Just look. Here's the thing, guys. Any question you have, if you're sitting there like, oh man, like I really wish Rachel would talk about this, go to YouTube or Google and type Rachel Fusaro and then whatever your question is. 9 times out of 10, I have made that video. If I have not, I will commit with 99.9% certainty that I will make that video. There may be something I won't, but I'm here for you. Like, you guys, I don't know if you realize this, but I am now my main income source and what I'm relying on for like groceries and to keep the lights on is social media. Like, I am a full-time content creator. I have a lot of different projects on the side and a lot of things I'm doing to build this into something to help more of you. I feel like I'm letting so many of you down because I have more questions coming in via email, private messages, direct messages, DMs, comments on all like TikTok, Instagram, here, Facebook, than I'm able to answer alone. And so that's why I do videos, because I'm trying to address the most commonly asked questions, but it still doesn't feel like it's enough. And I go back and forth, like, do I do like a membership group where we can have more of these live one-on-one sessions? I get asked weekly, sometimes daily, but generally speaking, I get asked weekly, like if I'll do virtual one-on-one sessions. And that's something I was open to, but I realized it's not scalable. Like I would be able to reach less of you if I was spending more time like one-on-one. So I'm really just trying to figure out ways that I can help more of you in a more intimate way. So that's kind of what I've been working on behind the scenes. But your support, just you being here, sharing these videos, liking the video. We're 113 likes, y'all. Oh my gosh. Everything you're doing to support us here and our mission to save all the damn dogs is making my dreams come true. And you're helping this community of pet parents, because what we're trying to do here is save all the damn dogs by inspiring and empowering pet parents to do more with and for their dogs. And to me, it's all about just doing a little bit more, feeding a little bit more fresh food, playing a little bit more with our dogs, doing a little bit more enrichment or brain games with our dogs, and having a little bit more compassion on ourselves as pet parents, because there's so much pressure with social media out there to that make it look like being a dog mom or dog dad or having a puppy is all fun and sparkles and sunshine. But the reality is it can be really freaking hard. Whether you have a 10-year-old dog that you're struggling with separation anxiety, or you have a new puppy, it's really freaking hard sometimes. And I just want you to know that I believe in you and your ability to overcome whatever challenge you're struggling right now with. And I know that because you're here. A lot of people wouldn't even take the time to be here right now, but you are. And that means that you're unlike most pet parents out there, if I'm being honest, and you're putting the time and effort in. You're not going to be perfect. Your dog's not going to be perfect, but that's what makes this whole world of being an awesome pet parent together so beautiful, is that us, our dogs, and our relationship with them is so imperfectly perfect. Let's see what else we have. Oh, I know. Julie asked, why don't you talk about Love Army as much? Honestly, Julie, I forget about it. So thank you for reminding me. Love Army, hashtag Love Army. I used to talk about this a lot, but one thing I really love, one way you guys can support what we're doing here, is in the comment section of these videos. If you see anybody in there commenting questions, or they're just leaving love, or they seem really stressed, I love it when you go down there and you reply with support, encouragement, or somebody has a question about something and you share a video I've done on that topic. And what we do is we put hashtag Love Army, because what we're doing is we're helping each other. Because I'm at the point now, and we in our community is at the point now where I can't reach every single person reaching out to me directly as quickly as I want to. I'm working on it. I'm trying out different ways to do that, but I'm failing at it, and it kills me. It does, because you guys give me so much. But it warms my heart when I go to the comment section and I see people like you, Julie, or anybody else replying to other comments, just leaving encouragement, leaving a positive comment. Maybe you can't answer their question, but if they're talking about puppy biting, potty training, crate training, whatever it is, food, you can find one of my videos by searching Rachel Fusaro and whatever the topic is, and then giving them that video link just to help. That's Love Army. That's how we grow and scale and help save all the damn dogs. Okay, so it's been over an hour. This was supposed to be a 15-minute video. Please click that like button, turn on your notifications, and click that subscribe. I know every creator says that. The reason is the algorithm. The algorithm is a funny thing, and you clicking like and subscribe and all that really makes a difference. So what I want you to do is, if you want to talk more about my favorite foods for dogs, you can click the video right here and we'll jump over there together. Or if you want to see a little bit more about crate training specifically, you can click the video right here. And comment below if you want me to do more of these live videos. This was so fun. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Goodbye.